Ukraine says fierce fighting in the eastern town of Soledar is continuing following conflicting reports about whether the town has been captured. The update comes amid a major shakeup at the top of Russia's military as Russian President Vladimir Putin appoints a new commander to take charge of his war.
Ukrainian soldiers firing at Russian positions in Donetsk province. Fighting is concentrated around Soledar, a mining town near the strategic city of Bakhmut. These satellite images show the scale of the destruction since August of last year. Conditions in Bakhmut are dire. There is no heating or electricity. Most residents fled the fighting. Those who didn't are now trapped. I sleep in the same clothes I walk around in. We haven't bathed for 4 months. Soon, everything will freeze. Both the kitchen and the toilet.
There are a lot of people here, grandfathers, grandmothers, no one goes anywhere.
The leader of the Russian mercenary Wagner group claims it has captured Soledar. Yevgeny Prigozhin released this picture of himself allegedly in a salt mine near Soledar. He says the town is surrounded, but Ukraine's president refutes those claims as Russian propaganda.
They will present and are already presenting this to their society in order to support mobilization and to give hope to those who are for the aggression. But the fighting continues. Donetsk is holding.
If Soledar falls, it would no doubt boost Russian morale. It could also help President Putin to appease his critics, who say his war effort is fumbling. On Wednesday, the Kremlin announced another shakeup among the military leadership. General Valery Gerasimov has been appointed as the new commander to head up the offensive in Ukraine. Gerasimov is tasked with turning around Russia's fortunes in a war that has been badly lagging in recent months. And yet, Vladimir Putin has shown no sign of relenting in his quest to come out ahead against Kyiv.
Andres Rach is a senior fellow with the German Council on Foreign Relations. He told me more about Russian General Valery Gerasimov and what his appointment means.
General Valery Gerasimov has been the chief of Russia's General Staff since 2012. Before that, he was a commander of Russia's Central Military District and had basically a classic soldier's career. His appointment as the main commander of the operation in Ukraine is unlikely to change how the war is conducted. It's actually quite unlikely that Gerasimov would do any operational command, because it was more than 10 years ago when he last time actually commanded troops. So the more likely scenario is that the previous commander, General Sergey Surovikin, who is now the deputy of Gerasimov, will still be responsible for most of the operational command, while Gerasimov, as the number one, as the supreme commander, will ensure better coordination between the Russian troops. But again, I do not see his appointment as any kind of a substantial change.
This is Putin's third commanding general in Ukraine since the invasion began last February. What does this latest reshuffle tell us about the Kremlin's approach to the war?
Well, taking into account how Russian troops have been constantly failing in reaching their originally designated goals, it's not so surprising that the main commanders change quite often, because somebody has to take the responsibility, right? Actually, I wouldn't be quite surprised if it turned out that Gerasimov is not entirely happy about this new appointment. One may also call this appointment to lead the operation in Ukraine as kind of a hot potato that nobody really wants to have in his or her hands. Still, now Gerasimov is given the task, but again, even if his command would be successful, a single personal change is unable to patch up all the organizational and structural flaws of Russia's armed forces.
What about the battlefield itself? Can you tell us, for example, what's happening in Soledar? Because we're getting conflicting reports about who's in control there and what it would mean if Russia takes control of the town.
First and foremost, I would caution against overestimating the importance of Soledar. This is a small mining town which had a population of approximately 10,000 before the war. There are hundreds of such small industrial towns in Ukraine. So Soledar is important not because of itself, but because it constitutes basically the left flank of the defense of Bakhmut, which is a much more important Ukrainian city, a fortified city, which the Russian troops have been trying to take for nearly 6 months. Russians have been trying to take Bakhmut by frontally attacking, sending one wave after another, but constantly failing to capture the city. And now they shifted their emphasis and trying to take Soledar and thereby cutting off Bakhmut. But even if Soledar falls, this alone would not be able for the Russians to cut the supply lines leading to Bakhmut, let alone encircling the city. So here, and one more thing, how to the extent it can be reconstructed from open sources, fighting is still going on in Bakhmut. So, in Soledar. So the Russian claims about taking the entire city don't seem to be fully grounded. Fighting is going on there.
Defense analyst Andres Rach in Budapest, thank you very much.
Thank you.